welcome to Who Dares Rolls Mumble Jumbo for this around about the midpoint of December. I say vaguely because I have no idea when this is going to air and when I finish editing and when I finish filming. So anyway, about mid-December, we'll say. The 12th, maybe later than that. Oh, why even bother? It's December. It is December. Festive time is coming. I'm having some coffee, hold on. It's again, early Sunday morning filming, which has been mildly disrupted by Isaac, who's actually got out of bed before I expect him to, and now wants to play Lego Jurassic Park, which I'm going to do as a dutiful daddy and all that sort of stuff, but I'm trying to get this done first. Fuck me, I'm rambling on, aren't I? So, yes, here we are, December, the silly season's upon us, festivities are festiving. I'm quandary whether I'm going to do any special Christmas vids. I don't think I will. There's lots of gift guides out there. I feel I kind of said on gift guides in previous videos, but I'll have a think, okay? With all of that out of the way, let us indulge ourselves with what I've been playing. Played games. Apiary got that to table game with the Sunday crowd for second play. Everyone did a little bit better. I still did quite well. I like it. As I say, I've already stated on it. I really enjoy that game. What the conundrum it presents me and how I find a quick economy of moves to make the most out of that. It does feel very Tapestry-ish, and Jamie himself said it the other day. It felt lighter version of Tapestry. Something about it, I don't know, has that sort of Tapestry vibe. So your mileage may differ. I quite enjoy it. Space Bees, the theme works. It looks good aesthetically. The components are all cool, and as I've said before, it actually represents pretty solid value if you're a fan of that sort of stuff, because everything is in that base box. It doesn't feel like it desperately needs anything else added to it. We, of course, can't control ourselves and will expect instantly something to be added to it. But for me, personally, it's a pretty good complete package. Connie Vogelman, name of the designer. That's why I forgot that in the other video, but that's who it is. So there's that. Then we played Eric Lang's Godfather. The Godfather Corleone's Empire, I think, is the full title of it. It's a tight game. It is a knife fight in an elevator. It is harder to get a hold of these days, actually, now, because I think it is out of print. I don't think Cool Mini print it anymore. We never got the expansion for it, which is really sad. It makes me sad. I don't know what that would have consisted of, but it still I will press Mr. Lang on this one day, actually, and find out what that would have consisted of, just out of interest. Anyway, I'd gone off on a tangent. Played that. I forgot to take shots of the game of that, so I'm going to keep this brief now. If you've not played Godfather, it is an area control digital on the map game. It's Eric Lang. Who else? But this one, it really is a clever, real lean design. It escalates as you play the game. You're essentially, it's a worker placement as such, dude placement, where you put them on the board will interact with businesses or areas of the board and give you stuff for doing it. As the game progresses, you take areas of control so that when people utilize those actions on those buildings and stuff that are there, then you get a kind of a skim off the back of it. Ultimately, the game is so many pieces you're putting out. Once you put all your pieces out, like Blood Rage, you run out of rage, you run out of people, you can't play the cards. And it's all about this card play. And you're trying to build an engine of these cards you pick up, which essentially are like alcohol, guns, and drugs later on, which are wilds. Alcohol, guns, and something else. Cash, I think, blood money. And you're making sets of these cards by picking them up to complete missions. And when you complete the missions, they give you a buff. Usually the good ones are killing everyone on the board. And it's this game of this kind of crime fightery stuff. Coming a crime fighter makes it sound like a superhero thing. I have long lamented, I don't feel that the theme of Godfather is really there as such, more so that it's just kind of a big mob game. But it's a lean set of rule set. You can teach it relatively quickly to people, and it's only a few actions to do, but it escalates as you get to like round 2 or 3. About 3-ish is the spot where it really kind of tension cranks on, because more options are kind of available on the board. People now control areas, and you're trying to absolutely maximize what you can do out of this to get the best out of it. It's good, really solid. It is recommended. It is a cracking game. I know there was Sons of Anarchy, which was subsequently reprinted as Wise Guys from Gale Force 9, which kind of ticks some of those boxes, although it isn't as eloquent, should we say, not as streamlined and not as brutal in some ways as Lang's game, but it's still good. If you're looking in the market for something like that, then that's certainly something that fills that niche. And there is, of course, Scarface, I think it is, which Ben has, which you haven't played for a while. I have to nudge him on that. Which again is a lot of mobster themed stuff, and it's quite a big sort of war game with lots of stuff going on that. But again, it's similar-ish, and I enjoyed the vibe of that. But anyway, Godfather: Corleone's Empire, an absolute banger. If you can find it and at a reasonable price, and you're a fan of that sort of dudes on a mappy style, but mobsters and vicious gameplay, then highly recommend it. Speaking of vicious gameplay, it was Ben's birthday the other Friday, a couple of days ago, a day ago even, 2 days ago, fuck it, who cares. Ben's birthday. He normally is quite depressed and kind of suicidal this time of year. He just doesn't seem to like birthdays. He gets quite grumpy. To be fair, the last birthday we played was the game of poker we played, where Robbie, you go back a year and you'll find the video. It did not go well. Ben did not have a good night, and that happened. I'm not going to go back over that, but yeah, it was a bad time for everyone. So, being Ben's birthday, we were originally going to play potentially Descent Legends of the Dark, but it was his birthday. He'd bought some stuff, and I said, hey Ben, it's your birthday. What would you like to play? So, he decided on Food Chain Magnate. Now, we know of the incident of the last time I played Food Chain Magnate, whereupon I essentially table flipped because I'd got to about the second or third round into the game and was so far behind the 8 ball and could see no way out of that pit, and that Ben was just steamrolling everyone at the table, that I sensibly went, fuck that, I'm not doing that anymore. I was like, it's your birthday, let's play it. Now, I went into the game with, number one, a non-shit skipping attitude. I was just going to play around with some of the mechanisms of it, because we've only played it about 3 or 4 times. It is a brutal game. It is unforgiving. Anyone who's played it more than a few times will have a strategy they're going to play. And the nature of the game, it's so brutal that if you aren't clued into what's going on, you very quickly fall behind. And that's to do with the game is when you do certain actions during the game, there is rewards, one-time only rewards, which are granted the people who trigger it at that point in the game. And some of these can be quite game breaking, but they could be brutal, anyone who misses them out. As examples, if you are the first to put out a certain character that collects drinks in the game, it gives you a +1 area advantage on it. First time to discount, you've got permanently a plus discount or minus discount on your stuff. The bigger ones of the game give you more bigger card characters that are really hard to get. There's the Guru, which is one you can get by recruiting certain numbers of people, which allows you, as the game is all about you playing cards out in your pool in front of you, allows you to train and play more cards. And the training is you pick a card, you can upgrade it to the next level up during the game. The Guru is kind of this unlocks this option to be just multiple cards and stuff out on your tableau and just gunning and running and gunning. Which is where I'd missed last time we tried to play, because I went for that and thought, now this time actually I'd kind of even vaguely forgotten about the Guru, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to just fuck around in my little corner of the universe and just see if I can just get the mechanics down, get the mechanisms down. So we're off to the races. I kind of tracked what Bob was doing. Bob was upgrading people as chefs and other stuff, and I thought, you know what, I'll trail Bob, so at least I'm in the running with the same set rewards that he's getting. And actually what happened was Robbie dived straight in for the advertising, which gives you eternal advertising. But he had that, but he wasn't actually producing anything. But it did give him a perk on stuff later on. Me and Bob had followed a very similar trail, and we locked off some stuff. I actually locked up a plus on the movements that no one else did. So we'd all kind of gone our separate ways. I did follow Bob's things. What happened was, I could see, again, Ben was power playing, and him and Bob in like round 3 or 4 hit the Guru. I'd not attempted it. And then in the subsequent rounds, Ben was in process mode, and he was wanging out cards and doing this and training multiples of people and blah 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 blah. It's blossoming, this thing. As it turned out, I'd gone down the route of trying to maximise the profits of what I was doing. I was luxuries I was going for. So everything I was selling, I was overselling over the odds. Fuck it, you know. And I also had cornered the market on the chefs and that, so I could produce a shit ton of stuff and wanted to then sell it for a lot of money. As luck would have it, Bob, in the round before, essentially did an advertising mega splurge all over the board for pizzas and burgers or whatever, which just covered the fucking board suddenly with orders to be fulfilled. And it was this tipping point that fucked Ben's game, to be honest with you, because he had nothing to supply these orders with at that point in time. He'd been caught with his trousers around his ankles when this kind of triggered. Or he couldn't catch up, I don't know. He was definitely behind the 8 ball on that. I had a heap of stuff because one thing I could do was produce a heap of stuff. Bob obviously was in a pretty similar situation. I had a heap of stuff. And essentially in a round, I was able to clean up because whilst Bob was the cheaper price on all this stuff, there was so much stuff on the board that I just had to sit and wait until he'd fulfilled all his items he could. Everyone had fulfilled whatever they could, and I could mop up what was left. And not only could I A, mop it up, and B, mop it up at an exceedingly awful amount of money. So in a round, Bob scored about 200, 300 points or whatever, how it worked, pounds value, whatever, and I equal about half that myself at 150, which ticked us an achievement which gives you a CFO, central financial officer, something, I can't remember. It's a one-time bing, which essentially doubles your gives you 50% profits then on for the rest of the game. We cut Ben out of that. He didn't get it, which I think if he had got that would have been a different story. And that was the story of that, really. I mean, Bob was winning at that point and went on to win the game. I came in second place in a sensible pot. I messed around again with the mechanisms and managed to not quite... My luxuries thing backfired on me in subsequent rounds because everyone else kind of then produced loads of stuff and I didn't fulfill orders as much. But it didn't matter because the damage was done. It was fascinating to play because by around about round 3 or 4, with Ben on his power move, 100 power grab, I must admit I'd already gone, fuck, I can't catch him. I really didn't think there was an option of me catching him. Robbie was completely, no, he was fucked. There was no way he was coming back. But it was interesting how Bob's move of the advertising, which I'd looked at doing myself because I could see that route, opened up the game and the timing of that killed Ben's game, killed his game. He could not come back from that. I have to admit, you could tell that he was aware of that sudden turn of events had taken place, which was actually quite fascinating to watch. It's a strange game. I have a love-hate with Food Chain Magnate. I do kind of enjoy some of what it's doing, and actually that game fucking tore through. I think the sheer amount of profits that me and Bob made in the space of like a round virtually broke the bank. So it didn't around. If I see it at a reasonable price, and there was a couple over Black Friday for about 50 quid, which is, you could argue, is it reasonable? I don't know. For the components wise, it's not terrible. It's of the Splotter games, it's the most handsome of theirs. I mean, it's like saying your two-headed child is slightly more attractive than the ugly child down the road. But it is a brutal game. I think if you've got a group of you who can play it again and again and again, and you enjoy what that is doing, then you're obviously, it's going to turn into this kind of meta game of everyone trying to... But having played that now and seen how that really did turn on a dime very quickly, it does leave me fascinated at what tactics there are in that game and what you can play, because I didn't even see that coming, and it was quite amusing. I was just situated in the perfect position to capitalise on it, and to see how actually what I thought Ben was powering away with the game, to suddenly find he'd actually come a cropper. So there you go, Food Chain Magnate. I think the funding is just about to finish on GameFound if you're that way inclined. Personally, it is very expensive for what that is on GameFound. I would say if you've never played it, wait until the Splotter versions at a more reasonable price and pick that up and see if it's your jam, and then so be it, because I know they've said the catch-up mechanism, the expansion, is coming out next year. So I mean, if all that's your thing, then you can pick that up or find a friend to do. But personally, it's a lot of money for what that game is, and if you've never played it, it's a lot of money for a game that you might find you play once and never play again. So there we go, that's that. Let's do some news. Just very quick, Board Game Geek announced their support drive, where you can give them some dosh every year and you get some bits and pieces of bling on your Board Game Geek account, which is just purely cosmetic, and keeps the site going. I did religiously do it for many years. I did do it last year. I'm not doing it again this year, because actually they peed me off with their fucking stupid changing of subs pages and the belligerence around it. And also, you know what? They make it right. They don't do too bad, I don't think. So I'm not this year. I don't use it as much as I do, if I'm honest with you. I go into it and I look at it and I have the forums and subs I look at, but I'm not religiously on it all the time. But if that's your thing, it's not a bad site. I mean, Board Game Geek is a font of information and a lot of stuff on there. And if you're inclined to do it, throw them a shick or two, because you know what? There's much worse places out there. But not for me this year. Cool Stuff Inc. Were in an article the other day, essentially a statement in regards of how Amazon have pushed them out of the market, because they've now basically stopped their board game sales operations, and just I think they're focusing purely on things like Locano and all that now. They're a big US deep discounter, and it did feel a little bit like deep discounter complains about being undercut by deep discounter, because essentially that's what happened to them. And I don't know, I didn't go into the minutiae of it, but I think they made some other poor business decisions. What was fascinating, there was a comment from Zatu on there, which they basically said that they loved Amazon, and only poor companies can't compete with Amazon, and it's a level playing field, which I feel was kind of tone deaf and not really right, as they themselves are a big deep discounter. I'm sure you could interview a few on a board game site owners, especially bricks and mortar stores, who would probably say very differently to what Zatu seemed to be claiming, as Zatu themselves are a big deep discounter of the board game sector. And love or hate, whatever, I'm not going to get into that. I've used them a couple of times, but they're not my go-to purchaser of choice. So I don't know how you feel on all that. I mean, ultimately, you know, Amazon is a beast. It is a beast that we all keep feeding, especially this time of year. Ultimately, it's probably to everyone's detriment, let's be clear. And whilst we all love all the free deliveries and all the instant next day deliveries and all the other shit that comes with that, which is wonderful, I'm sure we've moved on from, you know, my youth when you were waiting weeks for stuff. The power of anticipation is nice sometimes, though, isn't it? But anyway, I think it has damaged what our expectations of everyone then expects from everyone else to do. And then when you don't get your delivery on time, or gets a bit dinged because a cheap courier delivery driver who's having to do 5,000 deliveries that day doesn't give a shit about your box, because frankly, is he going to? Probably not, they're not. It's a beast of all our makings. So every time we post and whinge and whine about a poor delivery, then yeah, well, yes, it is. The service should be better, but then we expect so very much and we want to pay so very little. So, you know, there's a deep and meaningful thought for Mike for the day. But there we go. What else is... Oh, well, this, Haunticulture. Hello, Haunticulture. This is Tinkerbot Games. Published this, I think it's just going out to backers now. I have a long history with this, really. This was originally going to come out, or was, I think they sought funding just, unfortunately for them, I think when COVID hit in the 2020s. I'm sure it was when they were trying to get this funded, and it didn't fund. It is like a companion piece to Ghost Store, and if you don't play Ghost was a really great Tinkerbot Games first game they did with you of a haunted hotel with ghosts. This was a different beast. This is more tile laying. I think the tessellating patterns and stuff. So I think Isle of Cats and that Tetris style of stuff. And it's about you playing cards, be able to put certain things down on a board, and you get combinations and buffs by doing it in a set order. I did originally film and we're going to do a review, a preview thing for the Kickstarter, and then it got stopped. They pulled the plug on it, and then I think then when it did come back on, I had basically moved on the game, and I had what footage I had, but ultimately I wanted to do it, refilm it, because it was changed from what they'd seen. So all of that had happened, and ultimately I never actually got the video out because of work, I feel, as well, and everything else. Anyway, Bevan and Gino, wonderful chaps, they've sent me a copy of it, which is I very much appreciate, and thank you very much, gents. I do love the Tinkerbot crew. They are lovely people. So we get a rulebook. I'm going to go very quick unboxing of this. The rulebook actually looks pretty similar to the rulebook I had when they were working on the Kickstarter. It's a lightish game. I think I've got some bling, Kickstarter bling in here. I've got some acrylic skulls, which I think with the point scory stuff, a little Pepkin Man miniature to build, which is kind of cool and neat. These, I don't know what these are. These, look, I thought they were sleeves, but they're not sleeves. They are something to do with something. I don't know. But I think all that was Kickstarter bling, and then this is the base stuff. So in there we get sets of cards in here, which I like the art on these. It's not the same guy who did Ghostal, but it's similar. But when I come to do a pre-review or run for a playthrough of this, I'll do a bit more detail on it. But that we get a bag of bagginess for holding stuff. Score pad. Everyone loves a score pad. The player boards, which, as you say, they're quite small. You're building off this thing here, and what you're building is all of this stuff. So there's the skulls we're talking about. They're like points, if I remember rightly. You get different plants you're putting down on different stuff, and all these things interact with each other depending what's put against everything else. So there we go. That's that. That's what's in there. It's a really fun little tile laying game. You know, that Tetrisy style, Barron Park style of gameplay of you deciding on where to put stuff and position it. And there is a little bit of a player interaction with that. I remember rightly, there was a bit of take that, and there was a bit of like jolly joshing and all that. And the theme was really good. It worked really well. So there's Haunticulture. If you've backed it, then I'm sure you'll be getting your copy now. You've already got it. I will at some point sit down, play this, and give a review of this. God, Mike and his fucking reviews. But I will. But yeah, if you're a fan of Ghostal, similar vibe, feel, but different gameplay, but that same sort of Tinkerbotty, family fun, mid-weight, light to mid-weight bit of entertainment, and it's all in a compact little box, and they're a British publisher, which we should be supporting, should we not? That's what I say. I'm going to itch my eye. It's very professional. Oh, that's a good one. That I think is that. Coffee. Me personally, I tell you what, I've been indulging in very recently was this Heltrackers. This was in 2000 AD. It was a story. It's written by John Wagner and Alan Grant, by art by Jose Ortiz Horatio Lalalia. Oh no, there's two different people there. Jose Ortiz is the actual artist. Horatio was the letterer, I think. Got myself into there. There's something about his art. I did like Jose's art. And he was a long running in a lot of comics, and he did some Dread, and he did some Road Trip, I think, and he did some stuff. I think it was in Scream magazine or something, one of the other kids' cartoon comic-y things at the time. It's gritty and grim and gritty. Now look, I remember this running in the comic, and I have vague memories of it. And actually, this just came out the other day. From Rebellion have put it out, and I picked up a copy of it. They do a posher version of this with like a Haynes manual cover, if that's your thing. Basic idea is it is kind of the Oregon Trail feel of. It's essentially a band of fuck, the name's gone. People going out to go and buy a new colonist. Colonists? We'll say they're colonists. Jesus. A group of them, they're leaving Mega City 1 because it's a shit show. And they're going to travel across the Cursed Earth, which, if you know your Judge Dredd lore and Judge Dredd and all that, the Cursed Earth is the stretch of the rest of America outside of Mega City 1, which is just an irradiated fucking hellscape. Full of dinosaurs and mutants, roving mutant gangs, and just all the worst possible shit in the world can happen to you. The worst! It's not good. Don't go out there. It's fucking very bad. So this follows the story of a bunch of these guys going out, families in their rad wagons. They're all civvies. They're all ill-equipped for this. Going out on their track across the Cursed Earth to get to the promised land on the other side of it. And it is falls into those tropes and stereotypes of that wagons hoe Oregon Trail style of story. I really remember bits of it. Bits of it came back to me, and having read and sat down and read it, and I tore through this in the last day or so. It all came flooding back. What I was hit with is how fucking brutal this bastard is. I mean, there's about 111 colonists they start with, and in very short order, they're dying quickly, and it's brutal. I mean, 2000 AD was never one to pull its punches when it came to violence and stuff in its comics, but in this bad boy, fuck me, there's people being obviously eaten by dinosaurs, kids being eaten by dinosaurs, kids being murdered, infections, acid rain melting people being irradiated, there's lava flows, people burn. I mean, it is brutal. The body count by the end of the book is large, and it's got everything you would love in there. The crusty old grizzled track guide who's helping them through, and it's all very stereotypical, and it's got a couple of slightly dicey, racially insensitive, should we say, depictions. But this was 1984 now, so you know it was a different time, people. But it's a rip-roaring cracker of a thing. If you're a fan of early Dread, or 2000 AD, then John Wagner and Alan Grant. Alan sadly passed away the other year, which is a shame, but Wagner's still going strong. They were the powerhouse behind some of the big Judge Dredd stories and just writing generally. And Grant went on to do a lot of Batman, which was fantastic. Highly recommended. I enjoyed it immensely, just for that whole sort of old school feel that just keeps on trucking. It really does. I love the design aesthetic of it. I love the Rad Dragons. I remember as a kid really loving the look of the Rad Dragons. And all the characters are really well clearly defined. It is very stereotypical, yes. It is all very, playing to everything. It's like a Western. It's that Western wagons ho thing. It falls into all the tropes of all that. But you know what? Deliciously so. And it's really quite fucking brutal. I was surprised how fucking brutal it was, actually. I don't remember it being as a kid, but fuck me. It does not pull any punches. And I was, after I'd read it and during reading it, I was sat there thinking, this would make a fucking brilliant board game. An absolute cracker. Of you sending your Red Dragons across the cursed earth. I tell you, my little brain started ticking over, and it's one I will sketch down into my big book of board game designs. One day maybe we'll get to it, but that would make a cracker, in my opinion. Rebellion, if you're listening, just saying. I need to think about it. But yeah, highly recommended. Well, there's a gift guide. Here's one for your Christmas stocking. If you're a Judge Dredd fan, or 2000 AD generally, and you're a fan of Wagner and Grant's work, highly recommended. It's a slim volume. It's all one and done. They never came back to the Heltrackers, sadly. But for a bleak, brutal, fun, also with Wagner throws in there a subpar angel gang in there. They're not quite on the par of the angels, but there is definitely some angel vibes of some of the characters in here. Just brilliant, and it would make a really good mini-series, or as I say, a cracking board game. That's one for your stocking. That's what I say. Aside from that, we've been playing the Advent Calendar. We are behind by 3 or 4 days on that, so we need to play a catch-up maybe today, actually, on that. But I've been enjoying what it's doing. Every day presents a new puzzle. I really enjoyed one the other day. Not too massive spoilers, but there was a Die Hard references in it, and it was clearly Die Hard references, which was a nice touch. I don't know what else is coming. As I say, they're not deep, and they're not the most complex of things to resolve, but they're a nice kind of brain burn, think about to get you doing. They're just a nice little activity to do every day, and I'm enjoying that. Meanders is enjoying it, engaged. As I say, we're a couple of days behind, so we do that. But if you've never done one of them so far, for the price I picked it up at, and they were quite reasonable around Black Friday this year for about 25 quid. I don't think it's not a bad price for it. It is a one and done, unless you really want to anally, retentively try and avoid doing that, but frankly for me it's a one and done for that price. It's so far it's paid for itself. It's been fun. Isaac's kind of disengaged at this point, but we'll see how his engagement factor changes. That's it really. What else? Not a lot else been going on. We're continuing our Game of Thrones marathon with the boys. We're just coming up to the end of season 5 now. If you've followed any of Thrones, it's where we're in uncharted territory in regards to Isaac's up. We're in uncharted territory in regards to just everything starts to get a little bit wishy-washy, where we move away from Martin's books, and that's that tight and coherent and wonderful storytelling that went on in those first 4 seasons, which was brilliant. For the record, I don't mind Game of Thrones, and I was there to the bitter end. I have watched the whole lot through a couple of times. It's one I think I just enjoy the characters and revisiting every so often. I've been enjoying this watch. Season 5, I always remember it being hard going. This has been less hard going this time round. It's still clunky. It's clunky, but it's enjoyable. And Game of Thrones does epic, they do fucking epic really well. If you've never watched it and you're a fan of fantasy stuff, I can recommend it. It is worth a watch. There's some fantastic acting in there. Later on, it gets insanely big budget. Just sheer spectacle of a TV show is incredible. And it did set a very high watermark for a lot of stuff, benchmark. And maybe it didn't hit the landing, but you know what? I'm still enjoying it. And the prequel series is really good, and they've just put out trailers actually there's a bunch of TV trailers have dropped. I mean, Game of Thrones, the House of the Dragon season 2 dropped. That was kind of cosmetic. You didn't really see much of that, but that was a good season. I enjoyed the first of that. Fallout dropped. That looked fucking amazing. The new Amazon Fallout series looks fucking amazing. If you've not watched that, watch that. That's on my fucking list now. Rebel Moon, of course, Snyder's Rebel Moon is out on Netflix in a couple of weeks' time. Looking forward to that. I do like a bit of a Snyder. I know I'm not a Snyder bro, but I do like some of what he does. I do like it. I don't know why, but it just something about it. But there we go. I'm moving on very quickly from that. And that's it. And I'm sure we'll be watching a bunch of inappropriate Christmas movies over the next couple of weeks, because I do love a violent Christmas movie. Fuck all this fucking joy, happy joy. That's to have someone being ice picked to death and explosions and violence. What more would you want for Christmas? That frankly sums up my Christmas dinners. I don't know about you. That's us. I don't know what else I'll be doing, but for the next couple of weeks I will try and keep the videos coming. Maybe I'll tiptoe around a Christmas episode. I don't fucking know. I don't think I'll do a gift guide, because frankly I don't know if I've got enough stuff to shout at you to put in your gift guide. Though if that changes, then maybe I'll do a segment in an upcoming video. For the time being, thanks for tuning in. As always, it's lovely to not see you all there. Any new subscribers? Hello, new subscribers. There was definitely one the other day. I should have taken note of your name, because every subscriber is sacred. There we go. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Do the thing. Look after yourselves. Play board games. Read junky comic books. And watch shitty TV. Do all the things that people tell you not to do, because fuck it, why not? Enjoy yourself, that's what I say. I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta.